Hello everyone, welcome to Lucid Brain, and today we're kind of just going to talk about some of the weird and sometimes unexplainable things that kids say, and I mean like young kids, like, 5 downward, they'll say stuff where it's like, how do you have any knowledge of this? Like, they'll literally show signs of concepts that they would have no idea how to grasp, and it's just really weird sometimes. So to start, like, for example, there was one kid. This happened on multiple occasions actually, but one kid was saying, when will I be, he was 5, I think. He said, when will I be 23 years old? And the mom was just like, in however many years that is, that's when you'll be 23. And then he's like, oh, okay, because that's how old I was when I died last time. And it's just like, do you think he got that from somewhere? Like, do you think he was influenced by something and just said some shit? Or do you think that that's actually just like unexplainable?
It also depends on if you believe in reincarnation.
Yeah.
If you believe in reincarnation, then I'd say no, it's not ridiculous to think maybe it's past life. And there's people that it's kind of getting off topic right away. But I don't know if you ever heard the phenomenon of like people going into comas and waking up knowing things they didn't before. And essentially recalling past lives. And there was a couple cases of people that spoke one language and all of a sudden they were able to speak multiple languages, and even some of them dead languages, and speak them like fluently and well. And I mean, those have been documented, so I don't know.
I mean, I don't think reincarnation is the craziest thing.
Personally, I believe in it.
Yeah, so
but
it's just kind of crazy how, because a kid, I mean, I guess a kid could have been influenced by something, obviously, because that's what kids do. They kind of just repeat stuff that they see and stuff.
It's a lot of subconscious stuff, and just things that, I mean, a lot of behavior, subtle, subconscious, influences and stimuli. You see something kind of in a passive way and don't even realize it, and then you might kind of take it to heart, and I don't know. I'm sure you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's just weird. Like, and then there's also been cases where they are aware. This isn't even something I could think of explanation to. They'll have knowledge of things that have happened that they did not experience firsthand. So it'll be like, there was this one mother who was in a car crash, and her son was the mother's mother was babysitting her son, and so he wasn't at the car crash at all. And she gets in a car crash, and the kid says, "Mom's not coming home. She was in a horrible accident," or something like that. And the grandmother's just like, "What are you talking about?" And she shows up, and she's like, "I was in an accident." And then they're just like, "How did you know that?" And I don't know. I don't think they ever clarified. Like, I don't know what the kid said or anything, but it's just kind of like, I don't have an explanation for it. It's really weird.
Yeah, kids say a bunch of stuff. I know I have memories of, like, one memory that I have is just sitting in a room with the static TV going. And, like, at the time, I was a big fan of Power Rangers. And I just had Power Rangers, like, dissected and just all around the room. And I almost remember looking at myself in, like, third person.
Was it like a dream type thing, or was it?
I don't think it was a dream, is what's weird about it.
And you were just looking at static?
Yeah, it was almost
That's
like
weird.
that scene, like the seen in Poltergeist. I feel like
yeah.
it was similar. I just like remember sitting in the room in my mom's room, which we shared at the time, and there was a obviously it was a tube TV because I was probably 3 maybe, so it was 1999 or so, and I just remember sitting in the room and I pretty much was looking at myself in like the third person. Is like
That's so weird.
How I remember it. Like I can remember like basically zooming out and just seeing myself sit there, like seeing the back of my back and my head and just like looking at it, and it's almost like an out of the body experience.
That's really weird.
And I think my mom came in and was like, "What are you doing?" And I don't remember what I said. She'd be able to tell you. I might call her a little bit, and then edit what I said, and then I'll have you edit what I said in, if she remembers.
Okay. Yeah, it's always weird, especially when you find kids doing shit like that. It's just like, it freaks me out probably more than it should, because I don't know, they have sometimes they have a big imagination. Maybe they're just like in their own thoughts. I don't know, but it freaks me out because it's just like, what are you doing?
Well, my daughter talks about imaginary friends, and you know, we watch all sorts of different TV shows. Obviously, she's seen Monsters Inc. and all this stuff, and sometimes, you know, she'll cry about fake monsters, but she says fake, so it's like, you know, and then she says my fake friends, and I'm like, you know, there ain't nothing here, but yeah, it's just it makes me very uneasy, especially just the idea of your kids seeing something that you don't see there.
Yeah, that concept is just terrifying to me. It's just like, because I mean, it's not the craziest concept in the world. I mean, you hear all the time, like, the imaginary friends story. Like, there's been quote unquote imaginary friends where they have the exact name as someone who previously died around there or something like that. I've heard that story countless times.
Or family members, or all sorts of different things.
Yeah, old family members especially. Like, it'll be like, you know, a grandmother or something, their grandmother who's like passed away or something, never met them or anything maybe, and it's like they know their name. They're like, yeah, I'm talking to this person, and they're like, that would freak me out. Like, if that was my kid, I would be terrified. Maybe I shouldn't be terrified because it's like, you know, it's my family member. Why should you be scared? But that's still scary to me. I don't know why. I guess I shouldn't be. That's just freaky.
One thing that is one thing that DJ Conway, who is kind of like a pioneer in dragon magic and a bunch of different types of magic and occult and esoteric things, she said she had a propensity when she was younger to basically see different things and experience different things. And we really are programmed, especially because we live in a monotheistic world where everything that isn't monotheism is pretty much shunned and looked at as like an absolute evil. So, you know, having any contact with a dragon or something, like, it's gonna be looked at like, you know, it's pretend, make believe. What are you doing? Even if it was real, people would be like, what are you doing? That's the devil, you know, that's kind of the vibe and the attitude. So kids have a higher propensity to seeing stuff like that and experience it, and they basically can see all that stuff, and then over time they're programmed to not seeing that stuff, not believe any of it.
That makes a lot of sense,
or actually. If they do believe in it, to look at it in an entirely negative way and essentially try and push it out of your life, and that would be a a pretty big explanation as to why all this stuff is looked at so negatively is because it's been programmed, and the reason why all of it is basically, if you look at, like we talked about with horror movies, and how it's kind of saying, you know, all this stuff is made to be entirely negative with no positive aspects, and it is always like bleak, and it's always like a protagonist antagonist type of thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense that, like, I guess I never really thought about it this way, but like, you know, when you're a kid, your mind is super open just naturally. Like, you're open to pretty much anything. Anything's possible to your mind. So maybe they're like spiritually sensitive or something like that because they're so open-minded. Because when, like you said, when you grow up, you get cynical, and people tell you don't believe in this, don't believe in that. As you grow up, the older you get, the less accepted it is for you to think about things like that. The more out there things like that, because they're like, you're not a kid anymore. Why are you thinking about that? Why is that even on your mind? So
I could
that makes a lot of
also say that the fact is, once you reach a certain age, like your brain chemistry changes, and you pretty much aren't like there's certain, like I don't know if the studies where when you reach a certain age, you literally can't hear certain frequencies anymore that you could before.
Yeah, right.
And stuff like that. And then it'd make a lot of sense if, I guess, everyone has the propensity, and then some people are pretty much everyone is programmed to, you know, not believe it, or basically shun it, or, you know, have a negative connotation towards it. So, like, you avoid it pretty much. And really, I guess the only way that you are able to is with meditation and, you know, actively trying to reach out to that stuff, or, you know, psychedelics and stuff like that. So
basically, you have to go out of your way and try to see these things once you're older and everything.
Yeah, I'm sure
when you're younger, it's not like that. Possibly.
I'm sure there are some people that, you know, never grow out of it, and continue to see stuff, and
I'm sure that's a very rare case.
Yeah, and their will's not. It's basically like your will being broken.
Yeah,
that's kind of how I see it.
Yeah,
I'm sure people that kind of have these have a similar thought process would let their kids know stuff and wouldn't pigeonhole them into being programmed to not believe certain things. And, you know, if you're taught to be open-minded like that, I'd say there's probably a good chance you keep that.
Yeah, I think that would make a lot of sense. I mean, there's also the chance that just going through life, you kind of lose that just naturally. But if you're, you know, if someone's kind of coaching you on, saying to stay open-minded, you can believe whatever you want to believe. Nothing is out of, you know, nothing's too crazy, nothing's stupid like that. Then I guess there would be a chance that you could kind of maintain that, what you had as a kid.
Yeah, and so there was an example in Jim Harold's The Campfire, where a lady called in, and I'll say what the situation was and say how it relates to this. And it was basically, I guess, she watched a documentary or listened to a show that was basically explaining reptilians, which I'm sure we've talked about that, and we've talked about aliens, and we even talked about aliens earlier in the day off the show, like not on the show. But she was talking about reptilians and all that stuff, and to her husband and son at dinner or whatever, and her husband, I guess, is like skeptical and saying, well, why have they not shown themselves, why this, why that? And then the 2-year-old just says, the world not ready, and then like did not say anything else. And they were trying to ask him questions. Why did you say
that?
The 2-year-old.
Oh, the 2-year-old said that.
The 2-year-old just in the middle of their conversation, he just eating nonchalantly, and then all of a sudden it's just the world's not ready. It said it like world not ready, and then they couldn't get like a they couldn't get any other information out, which I would say it makes a fair amount of sense, because let's say you're an alien, right? And you're pretty much working in the shadows. There's a bunch of aliens. This kind of goes in with what we're saying. If you wanted to, most things, like pretty much, if you look at folklore and everything, things tell you that they're there. So to me, it would make a lot of sense if, things like that talk to children, because they're more open to it. And they're understanding, and they won't lose their shit. I would think like it wouldn't be that serious, for the fact that they'd be able to take it in stride and wouldn't freak out.
Yeah, right. Because
they don't have a concept
possible,
of that.
really. Yeah, right.
Yeah, they don't have, and they wouldn't be bothered by it because they don't understand. Like, and then obviously they want to go and talk to kids that have already been, kind of programmed to be cynical and not believe that type of stuff.
Yeah,
but
right.
I mean, you've seen that in movies and stuff. Like,
I can't remember the name of the movie right now, but there's plenty of them, not just this one. But in this one Alien movie I was watching, the aliens talk. It's heavily implied that the aliens have been communicating with the kid to learn more about the family. I think ultimately they wanted to abduct the family, maybe. I don't remember what their end goal was, but anyway, they talked to the kid, and the kid would basically relay to them, like, the kid was working with the alien to, like, get information about them and stuff like that, and the kid would relay to them, like, eventually cat's out of the bag. Oh yeah, I've been talking to my friend who you guys have never met, and I met recently, and all this is at the same time as weird stuff is happening around their house and in their neighborhood and stuff like that. So that kind of just, that's a long-winded way to say it, but yeah, kids are, they're not gonna flip shit when you tell them about anything, pretty much.
Yeah, so when I heard that, that's kind of the first thing that came to my mind. And, I don't necessarily think it's automatically... That's the problem with, like, science fiction and the way that we view things, is it's automatically a negative thing. And here's my perspective on it. Anything that's already here has been here a long time. If they were going to do something, they've had ample opportunities.
Yeah,
and they've had
for sure.
They've had opportunities where we're a lot less advanced, and we put up a lot less of a fight.
Oh yeah.
So I don't think that some of them might be malevolent. I would say majority of them are probably benevolent.
Yeah. I mean, that goes with anything. I mean, there's always going to be the bad apples, but that doesn't mean they're all like that.
Negative energy is just as important as positive energy.
Right.
Not everything is about good and evil.
Yeah.
Morals this, morals that. Like, we all have a part to play in the cosmic balance. So, I'm sure things that are a lot more advanced than us understand that, and they're not going to just set the world ablaze for no reason, and they're not going to do something that doesn't benefit everyone mutually, I feel like.
Yeah, right. I mean, it doesn't really make much sense to
first of all, if they wanted to shit on us, they already would have.
Yeah, exactly. And they could have also. They probably have the means to do so.
Maybe they have already done it. Maybe all the stuff about our like Atlantis and our history of that. So this is off topic, but I saw it was a quote from, I think, Orson Welles, and it's pretty much an absolute truth. Everything that we know has basically been doctored and been a lie at a certain point, probably. So the information that we have is pretty much all secondhand information, and I'm sure almost all of it is fabricated in one way or another.
Yeah, in certain ways. Like, it's not just like I'm sure some of it just flat out was not the way it's been told to us, and some of it there's probably some things that were involved that we don't know about at all, that we haven't really documented, and maybe some of it got kind of swept under the rug as a mythos or stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm almost 100% sure that pretty much everything we know is wrong, which is what it is. I'm not really all that worried about it.
Well, I mean, in terms of like just the history of us as a species, like going back, I don't know, not terribly far, but like a couple thousand years, I guess. I think that stuff's all the stuff we have evidence for is perfectly right and correct. Just not like maybe everything didn't happen the same way, but I'm sure there's some things that
I'm sure a lot of it left out. Let me preface it by saying this. So there was a library in Egypt called the Library of Alexandria that pretty much had all the information up to that point, and it was burnt down, and literally millions of documents about the world just disappeared. So I feel like we don't. It was burned down.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of something to think about. Like, we don't know. Obviously, we weren't there at the time, so we don't really. Yeah, unless we have solid evidence for it, then we don't know.
I mean, that's the thing. If you look at all these ancient aliens, all these conspiracy theorists, all these different ways of thinking, and basically people that want to look at history and kind of, it's just we're grasping at straws,
Yeah. I mean, I think some of the more, like you mentioned Atlantis, like
it's already been proven that it was a place, essentially.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, that's not the craziest thing in the world at all. I mean, I'm not completely familiar with with Atlantis. All I know is it's like supposedly a pretty advanced place that was like more advanced than it probably should have been, and it's now like, what is it? It's like underwater now, but it didn't used to be, or was it always underwater? Like, I'm not familiar with it.
No one knows where it is, or if it is actually a place that is around now and it's a culture that was just lost, or pretty much we know that it existed because there's records of it, but we have no clue.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's been quite a few texts that have referred to it.
I'm just trying to think of all the other places that basically no one knows if they're like, we have no clue.
I mean, there's also hollow earth theory, where it's like
there's an entire different world that's so deep in the earth that there's no way we'd find it unless we somehow found a way to do it, but probably no time soon, probably generations later, is when we would find something like that. But it's an interesting theory. I mean, I don't think it sounds insane either. There's a whole nother world down there. And
essentially, there's a bunch of people that say that the Nazis basically went up to the North Pole and found an entrance, and a bunch of Nazis went into the center of the Earth and found different species of human beings and I guess aliens and a whole bunch of stuff, and basically societies, and I guess it's kind of like cavernous living, which if you hear stuff about aliens, a lot of it is about living in cave systems and tunnels and shit like that, and UFOs just disappearing into water and disappearing into caverns and all sorts of shit. So maybe what they found was a species that's not terrestrial, and who at this point I think it's kind of, I don't know if if it's the stoned ape theory, if that is what this is, or if it's like a human hybrid theory. I'm pretty sure we're hybrids and we're genetically modified. So I'm sure we're essentially not terrestrials to this planet. And if you look at it, I would say it makes sense considering there's really nothing that is actually close to us in comparison to intelligence.
At all.
I mean, even looking at primates, like, we are different in pretty much every other way. Like, we have damn near the same DNA as a banana as we do with a fucking chimpanzee.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's kind of weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it's definitely makes you think how, I mean, everyone, the common thing is just like, we've advanced faster. Obviously it took a long time anyway, but we've advanced faster and further than anything else just by chance. But it wouldn't surprise me if it wasn't by chance, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, I don't think it's. I feel like a broken record saying it over and over, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that there's many different species that are intelligent, and they, human beings are kind of just spread out and so numerous that assimilating is easier than just being yourself, which we've kind of found with different things like ethnicity, sexuality. A lot of people have to keep stuff on the down low because there's public outrage and people do not like certain things. And it's Pride Month, I think, right?
Yeah.
Look at how long people were basically shunned because of all that. In a lot of other cultures, it wasn't shunned. In cultures that weren't monotheistic, most of those cultures didn't have any problem with any of that stuff. At least a good majority of it. So
yeah, right.
But I mean, monotheism,
people being stuck in their ways,
Well, it's all about the doctrine of religion. Religion's kind of made it a big.
Yeah, that's definitely a huge part of it.
So,
which I'm not gonna fully get into right now, but it's definitely a big part of it. It sounds melodramatic, but it's kind of the entire species is stuck in their ways and doesn't want to change, and it's since basically humanity is so stuck in their ways, they wouldn't be ready to accept anything like Hollow Earth or alien life or Atlantis, or the list goes on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily a huge deal. I'd say it's I don't know. We did get kind of off topic, but it's kind of all relevant. It's just the fact that
we were talking.
The whole point is, I'm pretty sure that the childlike sense of wonder and just kind of being more in tune with the world, and it all kind of goes back to, you just become cynical as an adult.
Yeah.
And you're told what's right and what's wrong, what to believe and what not to believe. And even if maybe you have experiences with something, you're literally going to be looked at and it's going to basically be pushed as a negative.
Yeah, for sure.
So, I don't know.
So it is actually related.
Yeah, it's something that's kind of shitty, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something you have to live with, is just everyone being that way.
I don't know. I would say this: there's a lot of I feel like there's enough documentation of kids saying stuff like that. That's kind of weird, and kind of what did you just say type of shit.
I think it's somewhat clear
to where,
that
it's a real phenomenon. And
Yeah, right.
I think everything we said is kind of backed by that phenomenon.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's like anything. We don't really have solid proof. That's something that's kind of more of an abstract thought. I don't really necessarily know how you would even prove that.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way you could, to be honest, but it's kind of like it's a thing that's heavily thought about by people, and it's I know we're like at the end, but I just want to say this. It's kind of the same thing with animals. Like, you know, animals they live off instinct basically, and that's it. So they have no, you know, it's the same thing as kids. Like, they have no concept of any of this. So they are, I guess it's the same thing. They're just kind of open-minded and they can see these things too, because that's speculated too. You know, cats and dogs, like, seeing things that we can't. So
this is a way out of left field thing, but let me say this, right? So let's say there's a hurricane coming, right? All the animals are freaking out, and like losing it. Who's to say that's not like that forces in nature aren't caused by like great entities? Yeah, maybe that's why animals can see it, because they can see what that really is, and we just see a force of weather, and instead of instead of it being a force of weather, it's actually a great being that is causing it.
Yeah, that's been heavily documented, actually, that animals have this kind of sixth sense, and they know when natural disasters are happening somehow. And I mean, like, mostly the wild animals, not like just like the cats and dogs in your house. I mean, like deers, birds. They always seem to know. Like, when that tsunami was about to happen in Japan a long time ago, I heard all the animals were just going crazy, and the forests were emptied. Like, obviously not entirely, but there was a lot less animals there before that happened. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, it makes sense. And I don't know, you see like documents and a lot of the stuff is fake, but it goes with like I don't know if you follow a lot of UFO pages and pages like that, where you basically like see storm clouds and you'll see giant dragons or like just giant creatures in the clouds. Essentially, like you see shadows and stuff like that. I mean, to me, it makes a lot. It could make a lot of sense, depending on if if you want to say that everything happens for a reason, and that nature isn't just an absolute like
just random.
Yeah, absolute random occurrences. Maybe it's something like that. And yeah, it's all speculation and hearsay. So it could very well just be that maybe some events are caused by something, and then other events are just completely random and just nature. And here's the thing, something like that I would consider a giant being that is able to create storms when they flap their wings. I would consider that nature. So I don't know, kind of got off topic. It's all speculation, obviously.
Yeah,
but it's all kind of relative to the topic, even though it's like not. I don't know.
It kind of is kind of related. It all goes back to some of the things here on Earth being, the best way I could describe it is spiritually sensitive. That's the term I see thrown around, so that's what I'm going to use. So
yeah, or just able to see other dimensions, I guess. I don't know. Here's one thing that you could add. So like in Stranger Things, how they do the fly on a tightrope or flee on a tightrope analogy. If there's basically put where let's say we do a concept where we say, like, if you're on a 2D plane and you're drawn into 2D, the third dimension is going to be completely like you're not going to be able to imagine it, and you're like just trying to rack your brain around it. But that's because you're looking at it. You're looking at it from an adult mindset, and you're looking at it from like a problem-solving type of mindset. Like, what would this look like? What would this be like? You know, this, that. What would it be like? How would it work?
Yeah, and it's just the easiest thing to do is just to say it doesn't exist.
Yeah, so well, kind of what I was alluding to is, say you're a kid, you're gonna basically, if something like that presents itself to you, you're not gonna have all the preconceived notions that you're not gonna be able to understand it and all this stuff. Right. So the likelihood of, like, there's actually a chance that you'd be able to see it and hear it and basically comprehend it to a certain extent, because you're not going to be predisposed to not understand.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Well, guys, hope you guys enjoyed. This was Lucid Rain, and we'll talk to you guys next time.